On this episode of Web at Night, we're taking a more in-depth look into websites, going a little bit more behind the scenes, and we're taking a look at one of the most popular control panels in the website industry, and that is cPanel. You're going to find out who cPanel is geared towards and what makes it the best in the biz. All that and more coming up on this week's episode of Web at Night. Web at Night is brought to you by Zygen Hosting, the hosting gateway. Zygen offers VPS hosting, web hosting, IRCV hosting, Shell, BNC, and more. For more information, visit ZygenHosting.com and use the offer code WebAtNight at checkout to save 20% off your order. And by OWC, Otherworld Computing, your one-stop shop for all things iOS and Mac. From a wide variety of accessories for your iOS devices to RAM and hard drive upgrades to your Mac, OWC has it all. Visit MacSales.com to learn more. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Web at Night. I'm here. We're back, and we've been discussing so many things. We've been on kind of our rampage of CMSs. We covered Drupal, we covered WordPress, we covered Joomla, and this week we're going a little bit more behind the scenes of websites, taking a look at places you might not have ever been before, and this is going to be cPanels. And I have, of course, Ryan Becker with me here, of course, because I don't know too much about cPanels, but he does. Ryan, how you doing today?
Great, and cPanel, I really like the program, and I'm excited to be taking a look at it and just how powerful it is.
I'm also really excited, too, because I know what a cPanel is. I've seen a cPanel, but I'm not exactly too sure about how everything works. So I'm really interested to kind of get into that and get some explanation about it. So I guess the first thing is to start is, can you explain to us what a cPanel is and what makes it important?
Okay, so cPanel is actually just a brand name. What you're actually talking about is a control panel here. And cPanel is one of the most popular in the industry, as you mentioned, and a control panel is good if maybe you're not entirely sure what you're doing, how to set it up the way you want, or if you're going to be doing something like shared hosting or running a web hosting company, or you really need, fine-grained control over what you're going to be doing with your clients or whatever the case may be.
So I know this week we're obviously talking about cPanel, but just kind of a brief list. What are the other control panel options besides cPanel?
There are a few. There's cPanel, DirectAdmin, Cloxo, formerly known as LXAdmin, Plesk, Parallels, and then there's a couple others that I can't remember off the top of my head. But those are the biggest players in the industry.
But I guess out of all of them, cPanel is still the most well-known, is it?
It is, yes.
All right, so I guess, obviously I'm going to give Ryan the reins here of the show because I certainly don't know too much about this and I'm really anxious to listen. So I guess we'll first talk a little bit about what cPanel is all about. We talked about that. The largest in the industry. Do you want to, I guess, explain, just give a little description of cPanel, of things about it and, I guess, what it's all about?
Okay, so cPanel was founded back all the way in 1997. And its development is still going strong. It has very widespread use all across the industry, from small startup web hosts to very big high-end web host companies, especially free ones like OOO Web Hosts. They use cPanel as their backend. I mean, they've created their own interface for it, but it is cPanel in the backend. It's very easy to use and set up. It's very intuitive. There's a monthly licensing fee for it, but it's very reasonable, and it is the most feature-rich panel in the industry that I have found.
Right, so obviously with cPanel you have a lot of advantages. You're getting a lot of things that you might not be getting from other control panels. So licensing fees, so I guess that each hosting company, I can assume, has to pay some kind of licensing fee to use it?
Licensing is actually done per server. So if say you're a web hosting company with 3 different cPanel servers, you need 3 independent licenses.
Okay.
Because cPanel servers actually get licensed based on the main IP address of the server. So if your IP address changes or if you start up a new server, you need to apply for a new license. And there's also 2 types of license classes. You've got the VPS license and you've got the dedicated license. The VPS license is much cheaper. And a lot of maybe starting out web hosts will choose to use a VPS instead of a dedicated server. But if you are using a dedicated server, you have to buy a dedicated license and use that. But if you are running it on a VPS, cPanel has automatic support for detecting it, and it will install a special VPS optimized version, which will be easier on resources, and some of the defaults will be a bit different to make it more optimal for running on virtual servers.
And I think the first thing I might point out, we'll just kind of make this clear, just so everyone kind of knows who is actually using the cPanel. Is the cPanel a tool going to be used by web hosts and web administrators, or is it going to be something that's going to be able to be accessed and used by the average user?
It is an all-around panel. Most of these web hosting control panels are a full circle solution for web hosting management. So you've got two sides of cPanel. You've got WHM or Web Host Manager, which is, as the name implies, it's what the hosting company or the resellers use to manage their clients, manage their plans, and all that and stuff later. But I'll get into that. I'll get into that later. And then cPanel, the actual cPanel interface, is what the customers use. It gives them very easy to use controls over their website, but it doesn't give them access to any sort of server settings or things like that.
Yeah, so I have a demo here of the cPanel interface. As I go around here and wire, because I have a demo of it, I will show up here. I just Googled for cPanel demo and just to kind of show it off. So here was what Ryan's talking about here. As we can see, we kind of see that when you log in, you have different preferences to change things, such as, well, you have getting started information, which is kind of nice. You have email account information and settings. You have security settings, files, and all that kind of stuff. Ryan, I guess, I don't know, is it a little too early, or do you want to kind of give us a tour of the different features of the cPanel? Yeah, I guess. Well, let's move on to that. I
wanted to talk about one thing real quick that I didn't really mention. So let me get to that. Okay, so I wanted to just mention some of the features of cPanel. The fact that there is very little or no learning curve, really. Everything, it's laid out, it's right in front of you. And also, I'm going to show my own demo of it in a minute, just actual use in a production environment.
All right.
It's got seamless migration between servers, so this is good for administrators where if you need to push a client to another server, it's 2 clicks in both WHMs to move it across. There's a large community. cPanel has a very large, very active support forum with cPanel developers and staff frequently contributing. So if you have a problem with cPanel, most likely someone else has had the same problem and it's already been resolved in another forum somewhere. The entire cPanel and WHM system is documented, so it's all the information you'd ever need to know about any function in there is documented on their website, and there is support for plugins. You can add plugins that enhance your cPanel functionality, basically. And you've also got a lot of billing systems will integrate with cPanel for creating accounts and, for creating accounts, managing accounts, viewing usage, and doing all that. There is actually a billing system that was originally built just for cPanel integration called WHMCS, or Web Host Manager Complete Solution. And even though WHMCS is so much more than that now, when it was first written, it was built around the idea of billing and management for WHM because it has none built in.
Interesting. So let me ask a dumb question here just for the beginners, and I was just thinking this the same way, just to answer anyone's questions here. So let's say we talked about content management systems. We talked about managing a website and all the things you use for doing that. Even if you're using WordPress or Joomla or something like that, would you still use a cPanel?
Well, what the cPanel system does is it's actually for it's for managing the back-end software.
Okay.
It runs the web servers,
Right.
It runs the databases, it runs the email servers, it runs that stuff. So you can you really have 2 routes to go. Well, 3. You can sign up for a web hosting account with another company, which likely has a control panel system built in, whether it's built in-house or it's an industry one. Then you've got the do-it-yourselfers who will install Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, Postfix, and all the other stuff that you need to run. And then you've got the people who use WHM and cPanel, which is a fully automated management system for all this stuff. So For people just starting out that really want to get into it, there is a free web hosting control panel that I'm going to talk about next week, but I don't really prefer. I find I find cPanel to be much better, but yeah, it's geared towards people who want to get started easily with web hosting and to have something easy to offer their clients.
All right, so that makes sense. So even if you're using, no matter what content management system you're using, you still got to manage that backend. You still got to manage everything that makes that CMS run, and that's going to be where cPanel kind of comes in. So you talked about the WHM, the web host management, the web host management side of things, which is where cPanel is really taking its reins and doing things. So you actually have a demo you'll show up there. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that and kind of an overview about how that kind of works and what the average person, what they need to access, what they need to kind of have settings to, and basically what they need to be aware of, what they're doing?
Right. So this is the shot here. Thank you for taking the URL out of that. But so WHM is not used by the end user. WHM is used strictly by the web host, and so it's aptly named as Web Host Manager. So the client usually will not have access to this. The only exception would be if you're doing reseller accounts, where they would have. I'm logged in as a reseller account right now, so I don't have full privileges. I should probably actually switch to the root account since I do have the login for that.
Take away from that screen real quick.
No, that's fine. Okay, so you can see now there's a lot more buttons in this one.
Right.
So right now you can. I'm logged in as the root user. So this interface is going to give you everything you need to manage your server. So I mean, if we just oops, what happened?
Skype is having issues here. Give me a second. There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Lovely Skype.
So in this screen, you've got, you've got everything you need. I'm just going through some of these here. You've got server configuration, networking setup, built-in security features. You can set up contacts. cPanel is very good, or WHM, I should say, is very good at alerting. So if you need an alert when an event happens, it's very, very easy to set up here. So you can, you set up the contact manager for the server. Let's see.
So if something goes wrong or I'm running out of disk space or something like that, it'll alert me.
Yes, it will. I'm not going to go into that only because it's got email addresses configured and whatever that I don't want to expose. But right. You've got your reseller portal here. So you've got 10 master functions for resellers. And another thing I should mention is everything in here is searchable. So I know the search box is cut off at the top of the screen, but I'm going to type in edit DNS zone. And I know if I want to, I can go to DNS functions and then hit edit DNS zone. But if I wanted to find it quickly, I can go up into the search and you'll see my sidebar it'll get short really quickly. So this is edit. So now I've typed in edit, so you can see.
Wow! Wow.
You can see everything that has edit in the name. So if I go to DNS, we've got edit DNS zone. So everything's searchable. Everything's very, very organized, basically.
So the average consumer really shouldn't be intimidated by this. This is probably information that you'd get like when you first set up your web hosting. You're probably going to get all these username and passwords and things like that. And probably, at least for me, it's probably something I would ignore because I would say, well, I know that I need to get to the WordPress stuff. I know I need to get some other stuff, but I'm probably going to ignore this. But this is something that's really useful and you really should not be intimidated by, because like Ryan's showing it, just, for 2 minutes we've been talking about this. I see there's a nice search functionality, big buttons, looks really easy to use, and it's also really, really useful. Something that, I can get management, I can get notifications and stuff like that, and more stuff Ryan's going to talk about. It's something that you really shouldn't be intimidated by and, be afraid you're going to mess something up, even though I'm sure Ryan will talk about that. You have the potential ability to mess something up.
Oh, sure.
But
sure. It's not foolproof.
Right. But at least that you should kind of dig around there, look at your options, and you may be able to eliminate an extra step that you're doing of work that you could be able to automate through the web hosting management.
Right. Now, keep in mind that this is not for the end user. This
Okay.
is the web host. This is the hosting company side of it. Usually, users will not see
Oh,
this.
this is interesting. So we get to see a little bit of something that we don't normally get to see unless we're doing web host management.
Right. So, I'm the server administrator for this hosting company, so I have the master login to the server. Um, but I mean, this is everything that we can set on it. So, I mean, we've got. So if we look at packages, I'm just gonna bring this up here. See, and everything in these buttons is also available in the sidebar. And once you click on something, actually, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do just so I can show what there is. So you can set your package name here, and then you've got all these resource options. You can set disk quota, bandwidth usage, FTP, email accounts, email lists, databases, subdomains, parts, add-ons, how many emails they can send per hour, how many percentage of emails can fail before it locks the account out. cPanel can automatically assign dedicated IPs to hosting accounts if needed for SSL. It can give shell access. It can use front page access.
And this stuff is crucial for anyone doing website management. I mean, I'm sure that this is really necessary to make things run. If you're running especially multiple websites on the same server, you want to allocate different amounts of resources from the computer, RAM, disk space. It's pretty important.
Right, sure. And you can set your theme here. We actually have on here something that's known as RV Global Soft, which is a software program that provides a site builder and also provides an easy-to-use theme for them. So this theme list is a lot bigger than it would usually be because you've got all these RV themes in here. Personally, the demo you showed is the X3 theme, and I'm very partial to that theme. But the RV skins are very nice. They're good for starting out if you don't really know what you're doing. It's not the same as WHM, but it's big buttons. Like everything stands out. Right. So I'm actually gonna go to my account. So account functions. I'm gonna change my theme back to the RV theme because you actually can't switch between them from cPanel. It won't let you.
Interesting.
So I'm gonna let's see, what do I want to do? Modify an account. That's it. Come on, that's what I want. Okay. Let's see. So this is information on editing accounts. You've got the primary domain. You've got the username. You've got the account owner. This is your reseller list. I'm not going to show that. Contact email is default locale. cPanel theme is what I want to change here. I believe our default is RV blue, so I'll set that. And you can also set. Right now I'm not on a package because I kind of have different. I have basically a package that doesn't exist on the system because I've changed some things on it. You can enable DNS settings for DKIM and SPF, which are very important mail settings. So I'm going to switch myself over to the RV theme right now, and I'm going to let this save. There it goes. Let's see. How am I logged into this?
And I will say, this is really nice too, at least especially for someone like me. You really are, it's cool because you get an inside look into something that you normally wouldn't get. I mean, we'll talk about cPanel and we'll talk about what you're saying as a user, but to be able to see this as someone who normally wouldn't be able to see the web host management side of things is actually kind of cool.
Right. Don't switch to me just yet.
All right. So obviously as Ryan does this,
IP address to go off the screen.
all right, Ryan will load this. So, I mean, this is obviously, more advanced stuff than we're talking about from content management systems, but obviously we'll build. I mean, this is really something that you can kind of get your feet wet with, kind of start to learn, and this is a great stepping stone into maybe the goal of the show will be becoming your own website management for hosting and content management system. By the end of this, by the end of a couple weeks of the show, you should know how to set up content management systems and even be able to host your own website here. But anyways, we'll get back to Ryan here.
All right, you can show this now. My IP address is off the screen. Right. So this is the RV skin. It's like I said, it's laid out. It's all, it's all there. You've got everything's easy. It's easy. What am I trying to say? The icons are intuitive,
right? And
everything's there. It's all laid out.
Now, just to make sure, are we in the web host management or we're in the cPanel now?
No, we're in the cPanel side of things right now, which is actually where the clients go.
All right. So if you're a client, this is what you will have access to and what you will be able to look at.
Well, keep in mind too that these RV skins are not available by default. They're licensed per month as well. I will switch because I told you we have this RV Global Soft package.
Right.
It does have to be licensed out. So you won't have these skins usually,
Right.
but I will switch over to the default ones that come with it in a second.
All right.
So we've got, I mean, everything's there. It's laid out. Now I'm gonna switch. I wonder if I can do this front end. I wonder if it'll let me do this, or let's see. Nope. Okay, that's not gonna work. So I've got to switch this back over here. And if you're on an RV skin theme, it will not let you change it out. You have to have the administrator change it for you.
Interesting. Good thing to know. Now, if you're going through a web hosting company, how would you?
They may have a custom theme.
Well, yeah, but would the average user even want to switch a theme, or how would you even go about doing that? Would you have to email your web hosting company, or?
Well, I'll show you.
All right.
There's a function in here for it. No, go away. Crap. Go away. Switch away for a second, would you please?
All right, yeah.
It still wants to show it. It wants to show my IP address, and I don't want it to.
Anyway,
we'll
let Ryan get set there, but we'll continue to talk about this. There's cPanel, obviously. Again, you have website options, more things you have access to, email settings, file settings, and all that stuff. It is something to take a look at. Obviously, like I said, this information was probably buried with that big long email of here's your account information, all that. Log into your cPanel. Go right now, find that email, go log into cPanel, and kind of follow along as Ryan kind of gives you a tour and the features of everything. Kind of take a look and see, maybe I didn't know I could do this before, or something new.
Let's see, this is really being a pain in my butt. There we go. Maybe? Nope, just kidding. I'm trying to move this up and out of the way. But it doesn't want to let me. I'm just going to have to live with it. So, let's see. In preferences, you can switch it over.
All
it's
right.
whatever. In my preferences, I've got... So, we've got the Getting Started Wizard, which will bring you through... this is what I want. Yeah, so this will when you first log in, you'll get the Getting Started Wizard, which will help you set up your new account and everything. We've got video tutorials. So cPanel has a lot of tutorials for things.
Very good documentation.
And as soon as this loads, okay. So cPanel and WHM tutorials. I've got more tutorials in here just because I'm logged in as a reseller account. But there are a lot of tutorials in here on how to do very, very common things. We've also got change password, update contact info. Now, branding editor you will not usually have, but I do just because I'm a reseller. So you can pick. These are all the default themes that come with cPanel. This is actually just the X3 theme. These are all the different variations of the X3 theme in here. But you can create your own branding. You can replace the cPanel logo with your own. You can change colors, text. You can change everything. Change style. So I mentioned that actual theme changing has to be done by the web host. There's no way around that. But if your theme has multiple styles, you can change it here. So this is these are all the styles for the for X3, and the demo you showed was using this root theme here.
Are the styles just different colors, or are the styles different layouts, or what's the difference between a theme and a style?
Okay, so theme is actually the way the icons and everything look. Okay. And where things are organized. The style is basically just different appearance of the same organization. So you can see now, this banner up here has changed. Everything's become kind of more glass-like. Right. And so if I switch back to my Crimson Smoke theme that I'm using before, everything turns gray. The banner up here is now red. Right. Whatever.
And also, if you want to follow along with Ryan, I have a cPanel demo that you can access over at cpanel.net/demo. And they have
they run one of their own.
Right, they have a really nice page set up here that gives you an access to. Let me see if I can actually pull it up here. It gives you access to. Let me go ahead and get it here. There we go. It gives you an option to look at the reseller and the root side of things, the domain owners, and the reseller domain side of things. So it really gives you a nice look. At this point here, you're going to want to go to the domain demo, and you're going to be getting this. But this is a really nice way to follow along and see if you don't have your access, or maybe you don't have a web hosting service yet. If you want to kind of learn about this, go to the cPanel.net website, follow along, and we'll let Ryan continue here. But just if you want to follow along with him, here's a way how to do it.
Yeah, okay. So we've got all your mail options here. You've got email accounts, webmail, spam blockers, forwarders, autoresponders. You can set up a catch-all, so any email that goes to an address that does not exist will get forwarded somewhere. You can change your MX records, how you want to do authentication. You can trace an email's path. You can archive. I mean, you can do a bunch of stuff.
Now, stop me if I'm wrong here, because I might be getting ahead of ourselves, but can you explain a little bit? Once you're here, you have the ability to do an incredible amount of damage to your own website.
Yes.
If you're not careful. So
yes, you do.
What are some things that you could mess up accidentally that might not be too... I mean, how much warning settings in there? I guess the first thing is, what can you mess up if you do something stupid in here?
Well, for starters, you could completely delete your main DNS record. It will let me delete this. The only thing you get is this confirmation right here, cancel or delete.
So not that much.
Right. cPanel doesn't, it really doesn't warn you about things.
Okay. I guess they're assuming that you kind of know somewhat about what you're doing.
Right. Now, if you screw something up, your web host can go in and fix your settings for you. But yes, be careful with that. You can... If you're not careful, you can completely discard all of your email. You can make it so you can't receive email. You can, let's see, no, I don't want to do this. Hang on 1 second. Okay. But you've got your email account set up in here, and you've got, all these emails that are in here. And you've got, this is the email functions. You've got backups. Now, cPanel automatically performs backups if it's configured to, and it puts it into a single directory on the server, which can easily be brought out if need to. You can also create your own backup here. You can choose whether you want to do a backup or restore, if you want to do a full or a partial backup of your site, and that lets you download it. These backups are very resource intensive and do take a while to complete, especially on larger sites. So you may be waiting a little while for that. It's got built-in file managers. You can set up FTP accounts. You can look at your disk space usage. Actually, I really haven't used this, so I want to see how this works. I'll let this load in a new tab while that tabulates data. You've got a lot of logs. You can see the latest visitors to your website. You can see how much bandwidth you're using. You've got two log programs, Ausstats and Webalizer. Raw access logs, error logs, then security down here. Security is kind of advanced. Most people won't really be using this, but you can set password protection on your directory. So you can you can pick the document root for one of your websites. You can pick your web root, and you can set up password protected directories. You can completely bar IP addresses from connecting to your website. I don't have any set up because I'm not that mean.
So that would be useful for like a DDoS attack.
Well, not really. This more just you've got people visiting your site that you don't want to. Basically,
okay.
It's not really used for mitigating attacks on the website per se.
Right.
You've got SSL management right here. So if you need to if you need to generate private keys, certificate requests, manage certificates, you can do that all right here with the SSL TLS manager. You can configure your shell access. So I do have SSH access enabled on my account. Most accounts usually won't. You can connect using 2 different applets and then manage your private keys for connection. You've got hotlink protection. So basically, sometimes you'll see websites that say you must link to this page, do not hotlink.
Okay.
So what this will do is this will detect a hotlink, and so you can say, if a website links to a certain URL on your site and you don't want them to, then it won't do it, So I'm trying to... Okay, so if you've got redirect access to this URL, which means that when someone accesses a hot-linked page, it will send them there to say, hey, you can't do this, something is wrong, stop. Okay, so here's the disk space usage thing that finally loaded. And this breaks down all the web hosting usage on your account. So you can see I'm using like 7 gigs of my account, and almost all 7 gigs of that is in my web space. Some of that's in my temporary, some of that's in my mail, but most of it's there. But you can see, you can actually look at all of the directories on here. I'm not going to expand them just because I'd show everything I have on the site, but I mean, you've got all this stuff in here. You've got site build, and a bunch of stuff.
Right. Another thing. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing I did show that might be important for someone who's just looking at this is one of the things that cPanel gives you access to that you would probably need, even if you're an average person, is this FTP access here. This is where you have access, the ability to make FTP accounts. FTP is certainly very important, especially if you're using like WordPress or any content management system where you need to upload files and stuff like that. cPanel is just an example of a place where you'd go to get access to something like this. Just pointing that out there.
Yeah, sure. So you can leech protect is basically if you suspect a user is giving out passwords to a password protected directory, you can lock it out basically by performing more checks. You can manage GPG keys here. And the domain section is very important. There are a few things in here and people may not know what each one does. So I've got subdomains. Unfortunately, I'm not going to open any of these just because it would reveal what I have on my site and the other things that I'm running. So I'm not going to open any of them.
I can open them on here if you want.
Well, here, I'll do the demo. I'll just bring up the demo. I was trying to show it with a live account more than anything. Let's see. Owners, that's what I want. Okay, so I'm going to go into subdomains. So subdomains are basically used if you have your website like mine is, the techgeek.org.
Right.
Now, if you wanted to create, if you wanted to have, say, like, I'm trying to think of one, just like webAtnight.thetechgeek.org. You create that here, and then you pick where the document root is. Right. And as you type, it's not, oh, I know why. Hang on.
An example of this, by the way, would be something I use all the time, live.robustech.com. And I wish I known about this when I was like 4 years ago or 5 years ago when I didn't know about this. That's a subdomain. So live.robustech.com is the easy way of showing people where they can go to get to the live page. And that is, live.robustech.com, as Ryan will show, just redirects to a page on the web server that has the live stuff.
So it redirects to robusttech.com/live, and that's something, that I have configured in my thing. I'm not going to get into that craziness there with double streaming, but so that's what subdomains are for. Add-on domains are something different. Add-on domains actually allow you to add another domain to your account, basically, and have it separate from your first one. So your website, robusttech.com, is actually an add-on domain to my account.
Okay.
My main website is thetechgeek.org, but I have yours added as robusttech.com. So it's isolated from my web space, but I still have, I've got access to your FTP databases, your emails and everything.
Right.
With an add-on domain, users do not get access to cPanel. They are dependent on the account owner to do things.
Okay.
They get an FTP account and you can set their document root, but that's it. So anything else, usually this isn't used for hosting multiple people. You're supposed to use resellers for that.
Right.
But it's just, this is before I had, go away. This is before I had reseller access.
Right.
And then you've got parked domains, which is basically if you point a domain to your site, it'll just show a generic domain parked page.
Right.
Now redirects is something different. This is actually how you take, you can take this and say, a slash on so robusttech.com/live. I could actually force that to redirect to another website if I wanted to.
Right. And I'll say this. This is one point. I think this is where it is, where it's very useful. This is something that I'd run into an issue before, that it's very useful to have this. So sometimes you'll run into the issue where you might have your regular website might just be like, let's say you have a regular WordPress website. You have jimmysblog.com, but maybe there's a specific page that you want anyone who to go to jimmysblog.com, you want them to redirect to a special custom homepage. I had this happen when I used to have a blogging website, we had a custom coded web page that was the homepage that we needed the user to go to. So instead of going to, I think we had blogyourthoughts.net, instead of going to blogyourthoughts.net, we wanted those people that went to that website to be redirected to a special index. Am I wrong, Ryan? Isn't that where you do that kind of forwarding?
Yes, that is where you do it. And there's also...
And that's very important.
Right, so redirects is only used for directories on your account. If you add a subdomain, I believe... Yes, okay, so once you add a subdomain, you can actually... If there was one added here, I could hit... So let's just say... Okay, I'm gonna create one in this demo system real quick. Oh, okay, it won't let me do it, but... you'd have a redirection option here, and you could actually send this to a different website entirely on the subdomain level.
Interesting.
So we've got that. What else do we have in here? Shut up. And then I talked about all. And then if you need to edit your DNS records, there's an option there to do that. We've got the logs here. I mean, theirs is in a different place than mine, but I've got my layout a little bit customized. But I already talked about logs. And we've got databases. You can set up your MySQL databases here. Oops, stay on this page. MySQL database. You've got a database wizard, which will help you with creating, and then you've got PHPMyAdmin, which is it's a graphical control panel for managing your MySQL databases.
Right, and this is where, if these names ring a bell, when we talk about WordPress, we talked about MySQL, PHP. This is where you'd have to do that. Now, I might be wrong, because I think WordPress automatically creates this, but in the process of a manual WordPress install, if you wanted to actually manually install it, you'd have to manually create the MySQL database for WordPress.
Well, you have to do that anyways if you're not using an auto installer provided on your control panel.
So, for example, if you're wanting to do a WordPress install, you'd have to access the cPanel to do things like this.
Right. And I'm going to, if we've popped down here further, I've got actually Fantastico here, which is a website auto installer. And there's a couple different ones. There's Fantastico and there's Softoculus are the two ones that I know of. But we've got all the stuff that you can add here, it's easier. It'll create all the stuff that it needs for you, basically.
And this is what we had talked about before with auto installers and, WordPress and Joomla. And this is, that Fantastico in cPanel. This is where you do that auto installation stuff, like installing a WordPress website and stuff like that.
If your web host has that installed, because it's not necessarily installed by default. And then we've there's a couple extra tools in here. We've got some customizations on ours, but that is pretty much cPanel.
Very important for the user to I'd say that even if you're an average user, someone who's not necessarily all that into websites, or at least even if you have a website, be aware of what your cPanel information is, know that you can get access to it, and just kind of play around with it a little bit. Be very cautious, but what Ryan showed us about subdomains and redirects, it's very important and something that even the average user would want to do. I learned more about this because I didn't even exactly know where that stuff is. It's really important to know where that is and to have access to it, because cPanel, it's much more advanced and capable than many people might know about, and it's something that you want to have access to just to kind of know where it is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're going to take a quick break, give a nice shout out and a thanks to Zygen Hosting. Hey, if you want to get your website and you want to get access to cPanel, you got a domain name and now you want to get that hosting, or maybe you want to buy the domain name, you want to head over to ZygenHosting.com because they're going to hook you up with a special deal.
Okay, Web at Night would like to take a minute to thank our sponsor for this show, Zygen Hosting. Zygen Hosting is an established web and VPS hosting provider that's been in the business since August of 2008. With fast service and friendly staff, the customer always comes first. Web at Night listeners receive a special 20% discount on their already low-priced web and VPS hosting packages and domain registrations using the promo code Web at Night. Please note that this promo code does not apply to BNC hosting, shell hosting, IRCD hosting, product upgrades, or product add-ons. We now return to the show.
Very nice. Now, just looking on the web hosting page here, so you get a standard website, $3 for hosting. $3 a month. I don't even want to go into what I just paid GoDaddy for email. I think it was like the standard price was like $35. I got it with some coupons down to like $20, but it's just ridiculous. And I think that people have this misconception that, if I'm not going with a main name like GoDaddy, I'm going to miss out on something. You're not missing out on anything. And the prices are just so much better. You got this big company inflation is what you're dealing with. ZygenHosting.com, 20% off with the coupon code Web at Night. Thank them for their support. Certainly couldn't do this without them. my websites are on Zygen hosting servers as well. Also want to thank OWC Other World Computing. They have an awesome variety of different accessories for your iPhone, your iPad, as well as Mac hardware upgrades. This little NewGuard grip base grip stand I have here. I just did a review of the NewGuard grip base podium, which is an iPad podium that I had a really fun time reviewing. MacSales.com is where you want to go. We thank them for their support. And robustech.com, go there. You'll see my review of it. It was a really nice grip base podium, a nice little iPad podium, and they have a lot of cool things. Even this, the NewGuard KX, that's what it is. I've had this for a while. It has special absorbing gel that helps with bounce protection. It's a really nice case too. It is really protection without the bulk, that if you ever get one of those Otter boxes or Defender cases that you have a lot of bulk with it. This is a really nice protective case. It's very, very slim and light. I like it. I got to thank them for their support. MacSales.com, Other World Computing, thank them for their support. So Ryan, we talked about cPanel, we talked about the web hosting. Now people kind of know about it, and they kind of want to get interested in it. They want to look at the demo. How does someone get started with cPanel? Where do they go?
Okay, so there are a few ways to do this. You can find a web host that provides cPanel hosting, like I mentioned, like Zygen. They provide it. Just make sure you pick the cPanel option when you go for web hosting. You can get if you're kind of on a more advanced level, you want to have more customization over what you're running on your server, you can get a VPS with cPanel already installed, or you can install it yourself. So cPanel installs with 2 commands. So if you have a server, brand new server that you want to get going, then you just purchase a VPS, whatever. All you have to do is you download the installation file and you run it. The entire process is completely automated from there on out. Depending on the speed of your server, it can take half an hour to an hour and a half. And once that's finished, it doesn't give you everything to jump right in, because cPanel logins are actually tied to the system logins. So once it's finished, you'll just go to the right address. You'll log in with your system login. It lets you in, and you can do all that stuff. So it is very easy to get started, especially if if you're looking to start a website, find a web host that offers it.
Right, and
that's the best advice I can give you.
Right, and especially too, if you don't have a website yet and you want to learn about cPanel, cPanel.net/demo. I didn't even know about this, but that's an amazing way to get a full-featured demo of the reseller side of things, the client side of things, server admin side. Very, very nice. cPanel.net/demo is nice. But like Ryan said, you really want to, when you go to get your domain, be very careful and make sure you look at the different options and make sure you see to get the cPanel option. And if you have a website, go log into your account and see if you have access to a cPanel. You probably have some access to some kind of control panel. But go look in it.
Even if it's not cPanel,
right?
Yeah.
Go look in it. Go play around with it and see. Look at all the options. Maybe you were looking for the longest time. How do I get a subdomain? How do I get live.mypodcast.net or something like that? You can do it through cPanel. It's much easier to do than I thought you could to do it. So go check that out. And also, if you have another control panel software, maybe you have another piece of software that's not cPanel. Ryan, why would you want to consider cPanel? What is it about cPanel that's better than the other options?
Well, as I mentioned before, it's been around the longest. It's the biggest one in the industry. It's very easy to use, very intuitive. There is a large support group. If you need to do something with your website, most likely there is a way to do it with cPanel. So it's very good for basic users, and it's also good for the power user, because it caters to the low end, the high end, and everything in between.
Right, definitely go check it out. cPanel, it was really great. I gotta thank Ryan again. I learned a lot about this, and I did not know a lot about cPanel. I'd kind of heard the name. I'd been in it before, but I really appreciated a nice little tour about it. I didn't know that all the things you could do, the web hosting side of things, is really cool. Ryan, thanks so much for being on. Is there anything else you want to say to wrap this up? I really enjoyed that little look.
Well, I will just mention that if you're with a web host that doesn't have the actual cPanel software, go with Zygen. They have it. I'm actually the server administrator for that company, so And my email address is ryan@zygenhosting, XYGEN hosting.com. If you have any questions, if you need help switching your website over, if you have any questions about cPanel, I will gladly answer them.
Right, go to the website, zygenhosting.com. I know we talk about it in the ad, but go look at it because there's so many different options of different things you can get, different hosting servers, different Linux, VPS, different kinds of hosting. And, the context, I think the biggest thing about this is support. Email Ryan. Whenever I have a question, I'm always IMing him. Email him, get information about it. That support is something you just can't beat. You know someone who knows what they're doing. They know how to help you. And the prices, you shop around for website hosting. I wish I had done this before back in 2007 when I bought my first domain name. Shop around because it's not always good to go with a big name. GoDaddy is something that, in 2007 when I bought my domain name, I just thought, oh, GoDaddy, I know Chris Brillo had a coupon code for it. I might as well use it. But now looking back there's all these annoying little things about it. The renewal is kind of a pain. They always try to stick you with some kind of add-on. ZygenHosting.com, very clean, very simple, easy, and great support. It's something that I would, definitely recommend. And just kind of shop around, do your due diligence, and kind of look at different things. It's really nice about it. And I got to thank Ryan again for that. Email Ryan if you have any questions moving your domain over. Like you said, they have a wide variety of options that you can use and all that. So next week, Ryan, do you know what we're going to talk about, or do we have another interesting tidbit in the back end of websites?
I do believe next week and over the next couple of weeks of shows, I'll be looking at some of the other web hosting controlled panels that I mentioned, like Cloxo and DirectAdmin.
I'm interested in looking at it. This is, again, Web at Night, the show that gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the world of websites. We talked about, again, if you've missed our other shows, robustech.com/WAN. We've talked about content management systems like WordPress, Drupal, and Joomla. We've talked about website add-ons. We've talked about Google Analytics. We've talked about Google Apps. We've talked about getting started. We've done now 8 shows full of wonderful information, a full 8 hours. To have a nice marathon for a day. Sit down with your friends, get your laptop, and watch a full marathon of Web at Night shows, because we've talked about this. Video and audio formats of this show are available again at robustech.com/WAN. Obviously, the video format is going to be preferred because Ryan's showing off a full cPanel demo. You get to see a full working website of it. You get to see what he's doing. So the video version is available on YouTube as well as iTunes and Blip TV. But the audio version is also made available if maybe you have a visual image of a cPanel and you just want to listen. Audio is made available as well. Both can be subscribed to on iTunes, YouTube, and Blip TV, as well as everything at robustech.com. Ryan, thank you so much again for being on. I appreciate it each and every week. You give me so much more information, and I learn so much after the show.
I always have fun doing the show, and I like sharing my knowledge with everybody else.
It's great. It really is great. robustech.com again for all the information of all those different shows we do. I appreciate you watching, listening, whatever you do. Come back next week as we take another look inside the world of websites. Thanks so much for watching, listening. We'll see you guys next week.